Just real quick, I was talking to Eric the other day.
Mm.
He had mentioned our podcast together. And I was telling him, I said, yeah, man, it's fun catching up with you and then also talking to you as an adult and then also noticing some of the stuff just from the group and stuff. Like, it's just
Uh-huh.
like, yeah. I said, yeah, Ryan's different. He's different. you can, you can tell, he's been around the group and stuff. You can tell, and I think it's neat because, like, on the other shows I'll be doing, usually there don't be no curse or anything in there, and it's kind of like low key, and it's not necessarily on purpose, like family friendly, because that's not the
Right.
purpose of it. But it's just like, just kind of how it always kind of sat with stuff. And I was like, I remember when we were starting, and he just started dropping all these f bombs and stuff, and I was just like, but it wasn't to be messy. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he wasn't just and it
It-
flowed. And I was like, you know what? Screw it.
right.
I'm gonna leave it in. I'm just gonna push the explicit button on there
There's
and
different
keep it real.
ways. There's different ways of cursing. Like
Yeah,
there's the
yeah,
cursing to be just raunchy and
right.
gross, and then
Yeah,
there's the cursing that's just the emphasis, a bigger
no,
exclamation point on
and that's how
stuff.
you use it. And that's because, like I said, because at first I was thinking like I wouldn't even be able to clean that up if I wanted to, and it wouldn't matter. But I said it's. But the thing about it is, it's like normal conversation, and it's just funny. And if I didn't know there were curse words, I wouldn't even think of it. You know what
Right.
I mean? Because you say it so smooth. So I thought it was just funny. And I was like, yeah, because I was like, he's the first person I had a conversation with to just kind of just be letting it go. And I was like, it was just so funny. And like I said, I thought about it for like 2 seconds. I was like, you know what? I'll push the explicit tab on there and on the podcast, and it just
Right.
people got a heads up, and you put on your big boy pants. If you can't take the language, you don't need to be listening to the show.
Yeah, and again, it's not raunchy, and we don't
No,
talk
it's
about raunchy
no,
stuff.
no, it's fun. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. But like I said, with this show, like I said, that's where I try new things with the insert with the music and just different stuff with sound effects
Yeah.
or clips and things like that. And I said this show's just been very cool for me to really experiment and try different things. And I like most of the stuff I did on this show because it was just so light and fun that I felt I could take more risks with it. And it's like some of the other stuff I implement in my other shows just because I like how it worked. And some stuff that I do, I would just only do for this show because it just kind of fits with our
It's the
back and forth,
vibe.
yeah, our banter. But it definitely
So
opened me up to
it's
trying
really too
stuff.
bad you missed out on the dinner because like Jose was dropping some heavy compliments on us. Like he
Oh, for
really
real?
enjoys he said it's the banter. It's like it has this really nice just flow and
Yeah.
vibe, and it's just
Oh,
like
that's right
it
on.
sounds like a good time. And I'm like, it is a fucking good time.
That's good, man. That's good. That's cool of him to say. That means a lot. But yeah, it's true though. Like I said, I enjoy it. Like I said, I always look forward to it, and I love it. And it's funny. Like I said, we were trying to figure out what the next one's going to be. We knew it was going to be this one. It's funny the timing of these. I don't know. Do we think this? Do we know this one was coming up next or no?
So we knew Andor was coming up.
But we didn't
And
know exactly when, right? Or
yeah, I think it was somewhat of a surprise. Like, oh, it's now. All right,
right,
cool. Because
right.
I think they didn't drop the specific date until like maybe a month out. They were like September, and then they're like 20th or 21st, whatever it was. I think it was the day after I got back. So I was like, okay, set aside some time.
Yeah.
And
No.
we should probably start the proper intro because
Yeah. I was just, man. See. I was just. I was just about to say it. I was just about
wavelength,
that.
wavelength.
You know, don't miss a step. Don't miss a step. I guess we're back at it. Let's get ready to do this.
Let the shenanigans begin.
All right, back again for another one. I'm Jay, and tonight I have with me Star Wars extraordinaire, super geek dad, blah, 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 blah. He can add some extra stuff in there. Ryan, what's up?
I think most of those cover it. Dork, nerd, geek, yes.
Those and,
Star Wars enthusiast.
and that and that. Yeah.
That and the other thing, and yeah.
And they will change throughout the weeks to come. That will we'll throw some extra ones up in there as we go along.
The nice thing is neat, nerd, dork, and geek. I can say words. I can say words.
If you try.
Depending on sort of what aspect of Star Wars we're talking about, we can
Yeah,
hit either of those components.
that's true. That's true. That's true. And you be going deep. I have a surface knowledge, and matter of fact, actually, with talking with you, not only do I learn more, but your perspective and your insight kind of helps me along, because some of this stuff gets kind of jumbled, and you also got, you read all the books, you know, all the lore, the games, and all that other kind of stuff. So you have a connection with it. Like I said, I haven't seen nothing like it. Like I said,
I can't even keep up with all of it. It's so much at this point.
Well, to me, it seems like you got it together. So you're my go-to for sure. I will say I thought it was a trip. Out of all the characters to do, I thought it was interesting that Andor would be the one that they would decide to roll with.
Right? It's like, let's pick a character and expand on their backstory. And it's like, oh, you mean the horribly morally compromised
right.
rebel operative?
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it.
Right. It's interesting how, and I don't know if it's just because maybe the characters that everybody kind of know and familiar with have so much pressure on their back, so they don't know what they do, so they're afraid to move because it's just so much riding on it. And then the characters that are kind of like, people could care less about or don't really know, and they just got this, blank check, and they just doing it wherever they want to. Okay, I'm writing this amount, I'm doing this and doing that. Because it feels like the stuff that is not the things that people want has this different kind of energy behind it. It's like we're on a ride. We don't know exactly what way we're going, but the ride is good and we're just hanging on. And I felt like that about The Mandalorian, which was something that I didn't really know nothing about,
right.
And this one. Now, Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, those are the ones that has history, built-in connections, built-in lore that the majority of people know just by, it's like default information that everybody starts off with. And yet they don't have the same kind of connection. It's not connecting, not for me at least, not in the way I would expect for it to connect. Like Andor, we get the first 3 episodes, and this Mandalorian and this whole lore and introduction to characters like Grogu and a host of unforgettable cool characters along the way. Like, I don't get it.
Well, I think it's like Obi-Wan is a prime example of trying to do something in the middle of a Jenga tower. Right? There's all the stuff that precedes him with the prequel movies and the Clone Wars, the animated series, all this character development. And then we know where he needs to be for the original trilogy. And so they've got some room in there. And they had to do a little bit of a transition to get him from the end of like sort of the Revenge of the Sith to where he seems the more well-adjusted one that Luke meets. Right? But it's not much room there. It's not much room there narratively to do stuff with. Right? But with Andor, we've got in Rogue One, we just know the last Jenga piece at the top of the pile. But now the narrative space before that is big. It's really big. And the interesting thing that I appreciate, I don't know if you got a chance to go and rewatch it again, the Rogue One.
I sure did. As a matter of fact, I made sure I watched it before I even started this. That's what it took me a little longer to get it together.
So think about how his intro in Rogue One realigns narratively with his first episode and what goes down on that planet.
Yes.
Right? It's the same. I have to make a choice of whether or not I'm going to let this person go and potentially get me in a metric ton of crap or kill them.
I thought it was
pulls the trigger.
I thought it was hell of an intro for a character that we're supposed to be rooting for. It's almost like that thing like don't kick the dog or the kid or whatever. It's like you shot the cripple guy.
Right?
I'm like, and he's on your side and you know him and he's trapped and you know that more than likely he can't get away. He might give up some information, so I got to take him out. And that's just crazy way to start but even seeing that and just getting the reminder of that's how it started with his introduction of that character, it just made that arc of, at the end, like his sacrifice and everything, it just made it that much more powerful.
Right.
But also, even though, it was like a cast of different characters and stuff, it was still neat how it gave you enough to sympathize for him and feel like he's coming from somewhere else. Like,
yes.
Okay. Not that it changes his actions, but the intent kind of offsets your feelings about him.
How so?
I feel like when he said he's been in this thing since like the age of 6,
right?
And to see that even though he does these things, there's not coldness behind when he does it. It's almost like he's calculating.
Yes.
It's because he knows that. And a lot of times, like, we know too, but we won't do it because of, we do the selfish thing of not wanting to look bad or feel bad for saying things, even though the truth or the right answer or doing the right thing will cost you. And a lot of people don't want to pay that cost up front. And they'd be like, I'll let the person down the line take care of that problem. I'll let the person down the line fix it.
Kick the can.
Yeah. And so with him, you can see something behind his eyes where he's calculating it, or he knows. And even though we're not necessarily agreeing with the moves, we understand why. So I think when he made his moves, I understood. And that, for that reason, I say that his intent or his perceived intent made me fine with him instead of just thinking of him being despicable. And
it's not that he's callous. It's not that he's callous. It's not that he doesn't care. It's not that he's thrilled with being in a position where he's going to hurt people.
Yeah.
Very much he is not happy with the situation.
Right.
And
it's about
I feel like, that vibe carries over into his show.
Yes, it does.
Where it's definitely put upon, he's trying to make some moves, trying to get ahead, but he's also like, fuck the Empire, but I'm also not just like, I'm gonna go murder a whole bunch of them. It's like, no, I'm gonna steal their shit. Right. So I feel like instead of getting there's morally complicated, morally gray storytelling where it revels in it, that we're messy people and we're just gonna be messy, but there's also like, I'm a person who's got good components, that is not necessarily trying to do harm, but is in a shitty situation and gets put in shitty situations, and also unintentionally creates shitty situations, and then has to like struggle back and forth with the what do I do, right? So it's odd that Star Wars is classically, in George Lucas's eyes, a morality play, right? Good and evil, but that is very simplistic and very flat, right? There can be some nuance, there can definitely be some compelling stories out of that, and there have been, but when you get into these gray areas, it also becomes way more relatable, certainly for adults, right? Because we exist in that gray space far more often, right?
Very true.
So
it's bold.
On board.
It's bold. And just like Rogue One, like you said, this show starts off the same way. He's in the middle of a lot of mess. You're trying to figure out the characters. You're trying to figure out the timeline. You're trying to figure out what's the overall game.
And they do, I feel like they did a good job of never overloading the audience. So like if this was, and again, it's just the first 3 episodes, but if you take the first 3 episodes as part of like a normal movie, this would be like crammed into the first 15 minutes, and instead we've gotten like an hour and a half to really flesh things out, let scenes play out, introduce a new piece of information, move to the next thing, introduce another thing. Like, it doesn't feel rushed or overwhelmed with tempo.
And on that point, I was shocked. At first I was thinking like, this feels a little slow and it's being fed slowly, right? Not because I need to be faster, because it was introducing a lot of stuff, a lot of nuances, a lot of world building, a lot of character. Not only the characters, but the world as a character, right? And so only reason why I noticed it was different because I'm used to how it's always rushing so much, to the point where you can't really take any of it in, right? You just kind of holding on, and all the stuff that's going behind you and in front of you and stuff like this. this really was nuanced in a nice way that was pleasant, where, like I said, I noticed the pace was slower, but it was full. It was very full.
Right.
Beautifully done. But it's like when you kind of like when you're a seasoned writer or director or storyteller, you know that you don't have to just drop everything on the first page. You know that you could just kind of take your time and
because there's
pace yourself.
There's always enough meat on the plate. Right. There's always something there. There's always something interesting happening. Right. So you get small character moments, you get little plot points, you get a little bit of world building, but it's just not it is not Rise of Skywalker, which is just a crazy mess of like, let's just rush this and this and this and this and this and this. And because it's not just setting up him, it's setting up all these side characters. It's setting up, I think I've got Ferrix. That's the world that they're currently living on. They got the flashbacks on Canary, right? And they got Morlane, the corporate sector. Like, it's a lot.
It is. And it was nicely placed. And like I said, in this, first of all, the visuals, like, it's almost Blade Runner-ish as far as the aesthetics. And that's fine. And that's fine. But it feels so real. This is what I wanted for all the other shows to feel. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted Kenobi to be. I want this world to feel this way. I want the people in the background having purpose. They're not just standing there, or a big city is all empty. This feels lived in. You have a sense of what's going on beside. Like, he is a small piece in it. When they show the person ringing the bell for the time.
Right.
And he has his little grabbing the hammers, and he's so proud.
He's clearly got a routine.
And he's doing his breath, and he's like getting his posture together. And like, who does that? And they did that more than once. And I just thought, like, and then it gets to him walking into town, and he hears the bell after and all. It's just like world first, then the characters, and then the craziness ensues. But it's definitely a character that will not let you forget about it in some kind of way.
Right. I feel like the production team that does, the conceptual design and the actual, like, the physical sets, because, like, there's just a truckload of actual physical sets. Yeah. I feel they're like, oh, we're not doing everything CG in the volume. We actually we're gonna build some places. Oh, okay, cool. Because, like, you could tell, like, they went hog wild. And like the costuming was a fucking on point. Like, so they've got basically Ferrix is a scrapyard where they're deconstructing all these ships. Right? They're pulling them apart, and so the work crew literally having a wall just for all their gloves.
Yeah, I love
like it. It's this.
It was an art piece to me. I'll take a picture. That'd be good for a poster on your wall or something.
I mean, that's... God, I forget. There's this series, like, Every Frame of Painting, that some guy did for quite a while. It was like film analysis and stuff. But, like, I think one way to just visually evaluate a TV show or a film is just literally how many still frames would you be like, I would put that on my wall. Right. I'd put that on the background of my desktop computer. Like, just, it's really well shot. The cinematography is just, it's so clean.
It is.
It's so clean.
And dirty at the same time.
Yes. and I think the perfect example of that is in the flashbacks of his home planet, Canary. Like, the jungle, of course, is very jungle, but then they also go inside the crashed ship, and just, oh man, that was some spaceship porn. Like, honestly, the interior of that crashed ship was just so fucking cool. Like, it was like, oh, an actual set, and things that, like, made sense, like the design, the layout of stuff. I was it was very interesting, like, watching it sometimes, of just being like, don't get distracted by the background. Like, and it usually, I was engaged with the story, but it's just like there was a part of me of just like, oh, this looks so good.
Yeah.
This looks so
Beautiful.
good. Like,
Yes.
they did so many great things, and like him as a kid, his little tribe, like they're just dirty.
Mm-hmm.
They're just dirty. They got dirt all. They're putting face paint and war paint because they're gonna go hunt down the crashed ship. Like, yeah,
the lost kids.
And that's so clearly they were doing some sort of mega industrial mining on that planet.
Yes.
So it's unclear though if like, because it looks like whatever was going on there ended because it's abandoned, and then apparently it's also forbidden to go there because of some toxic thing. Whether that's a cover story or not, we don't know. But also the people on the ship seem to definitely be poisoned.
Exactly.
But the kids, are they like survivors of the workers that were there, or were they semi-indigenous? And then the Republic / Empire came in and set up this mining excavation thing, and they were just living there. Like, it's unclear.
Yeah, because they was stated that they were left behind because one of the folks that he was dealing with in present time had mentioned, because he asked him, did he ever hear of the place before? And he's like, no, I never heard of it before. And he's like, yeah, it just seemed like it was some miners that were there, and some, some kids got left behind, but they died. And so those are technically invisible people,
right?
That are, quote unquote didn't make it, but
and the other interesting thing with that too is that it's hearsay, right? Until we, the audience, see what happened, and someone from there says what happened and why they were there,
right?
We can get misled by the gossip, right? Because it might be just genuine gossip, people passing along the wrong information. It might be active misinformation, right? So it's like, I'll wait until the show tells me explicitly what happened there. But yeah, and again, that's another, because we get some of that world building of what the rest of the sort of galaxy knows about Kenari when he tries to go and buy that ticket from the guy. And part of the business there is he's trying to go like, dude, I need a down low ticket to get off the planet, no questions asked. And it's this whole back and forth. But at the same time, when he walks up, he's asking hey, is it pronounced Kenari? Like, and it's like, oh shit, other people know. Oh no.
Yeah, and that's why he's trying to look it up and find out what was going on with it. And then just so happened the guy was there, and he's like, hey, have you ever heard of it before? And it's like, no,
I don't know what you're talking about. Nope.
Yeah, I thought that was really nice how they, like I said, it's just, you could tell the writers know what they're doing, and I love, it's not, the way you get information is fed to you in different ways. It's not straightforward. Sometimes it's passing from the left side, other times coming from the right, sometimes straight ahead, and I like how it's being fed. And because you're learning the way, and you would hear it the way you would normally hear things, versus just blatantly, here's the plan right here, or this happened like this, that. No, sometimes stuff you overhear it. Sometimes you hear stuff out of context. Sometimes, it was a lot of that.
Yes.
And bad things happen because of this.
Right.
So, okay, we're all over the place, which we do. Okay, so let me ask you this. So, we see an introduction to the character. I guess her name is Binks, Bix, the woman, his friend.
Oh yes. Okay, I'm literally looking up the cast now so I can keep the names straight.
No.
Because I caught his, but I didn't catch a lot of the other characters' names.
I had to look them up too because they didn't use a lot of names, which I thought was very interesting. But you know what? With everything going on, that's probably the last thing I would need to know. But since we were talking, I was like, let me figure it out, because really, I would speak about him the way I saw him. Like the girl that was in the garage that was working that he came across.
The mechanic
girl. Yeah. And they seem to have this kind of rapport, and you don't really know what's kind of going on with them. Because at first I almost thought, like, is that his lady or something? And then you saw they had more like a brother-sister kind of relationship. So then I was wondering, like, is he related to her?
It's tough. Because I'm like, does he have a different sister? Because it's like, he seems like he's trying to find his sister that got left behind. That's who he's looking for in the brothel.
Right.
But she doesn't seem to be it. But she knows his backstory. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So clearly it implies so much longer, a deeper relationship. It's like, it's not even like, I mean, they might be former lovers, but the vibe is, clearly they got a big, deep connection there, and it implies a whole bunch of stuff. But
and with that thing being implied, it made a friend of hers jealous to make salty moves because
by
of
misreading it. They're trying to like do their scheming stuff. Like he's trying to get his thing and sell the thing and da. But it looks like she's going behind her boy's back,
right?
And he only spies enough of their conversation in the bar where he's like touching her hand to try and like reassure her, get her confidence.
Right.
And the boyfriend sees that and like, oh man, my girl, no, don't. And then he leaves and doesn't see her like, dude, we're done. Like, get your stuff, boom. And like bounces.
Right.
Like, but he takes it as like, oh man, I got to treat him like competition. And I'm drinking, so I'm gonna go and call the cops and snitch on him. And I'm like,
but like I said, those moves were, even though I didn't like how they went down, it was understandable.
Totally believable.
It made sense.
Totally
it made
believable.
sense how, and him going behind her, seeing who she's talking to, checking what she's checking on the computer. So all this little stuff, and you could tell that they probably just buddies that sleep together in a way, because he's always kind of getting at her, and she always kind of pushing him off, and she only goes when she feels bad,
Right.
Because when she was okay, she was like, maybe remember once a week. But then when everything went down, with Andor, then she felt bad about the situation. And it was late at night, and it's like, I saw your light was on. So you could tell, she's coming to him when she's really in a bad spot. Right. Otherwise, she's good with just once a week on Mondays with them hanging out.
She feels like she's cagey because she's running a bunch of stuff, and it sounds like, from what I recall, like it sounds like she's on the inside of sort of Luthen's operation. He's he's Skarsgård that comes in.
Yes.
And clearly she has told him everything about Andor.
Right.
Like he's fully up to speed.
Yes. Yeah, and he lets him know it too. And he's like, "Wait a minute, how do you?" So I thought even the way he was presented and showed up, I thought was interesting, because he kind of showed up at the end of episode 2, and you kind of didn't know, cause like, even, what? At first, when I saw him on the train on his way coming, I didn't know. I know he's going to collide with him in some way, but I didn't know he was like an assassin or somebody come. Because you didn't know. It's funny how all this. Okay, so in the beginning, it starts off with these like quote unquote guard like guys, security guys, and they're in this brothel kind of bar look like spot, and Andor is looking for somebody, asking questions or whatever, and I guess they feel like they were there first, and he's being attended to, but he's being attended to because he's a new face around there, and so they're trying to give the new face attention.
Right.
And they probably shouldn't be up in there at that time anyway, being kind of shady and stuff anyway, but they're there, and they just kind of pushing their power around. And it seemed like everybody just kind of overstepping where they shouldn't be, and it's just making a mess of things, which I think is interesting versus in the other shows we were watching, stuff would just, falling apart, just be falling apart, or you tap it and it just blows up. Right. This is nuance. This is like somebody done laid out all these dominoes.
And none of the characters are outlandish. None of the characters are over the top. They don't necessarily have big giant revenge stories or anything else like that.
They are leaning into their personalities to make a situation.
Yes.
Which is beautiful.
Yes.
They're playing into their personalities. They're not out of character. They are true to their character, and that's enough to make a problem.
Right?
Love it.
Man, those two they're guards, but they're cops.
Yes.
They're corporate cops.
Right.
But they're fucking shady as shit.
Yes.
Because as we find out later in the sort of after action report, after Andor he accidentally kills one, and then intentionally kills the other one to get out of there.
Right.
And it's getting investigated.
Wait. So did you have any inkling that he may not take him out? So after you saw the first one die, did you think the other one was going to live?
So I was honestly sort of in his shoes trying to think through that situation, and it's
Yeah.
like there's no, it's like you arrive at the same calculation of like,
Like I said,
dude,
like the first, like in the movie, you can see,
he's
hey, he can't climb up that thing. He got one arm, and yeah,
even if he had like, I'm gonna put some restraints on you,
Yeah.
da da da. It's like, you know exactly what I look like.
hmm
You're gonna be able to go back to the bar. You're gonna da da da. Like, fuck, I'm absolutely screwed because
Yeah.
I headbutted you. I headbutted your buddy, and
Mhm.
apparently that was enough to kill him.
He
Fragile
slipped.
face, god damn it. But now it's like, why did you guys have to fucking shake me down? Because
Right.
your stupid fucking egos. You
Mhm.
didn't like that I was getting attention and you weren't.
Right.
Ugh. And it's just, it sucks. Like, it
But,
sucks.
so did you know? So did you think he was gonna do it?
I wasn't surprised when he pulled the trigger.
Me either.
Like,
Me either.
in part because, like, you know, we know his character from Rogue One, so it's
Mhm.
not a shock. Like,
Right.
whoa, this
Right,
guy will
right.
kill people. But it's
Right.
like, you got to see that. Oh, nope. Ah, fuck. Like, you got to see those gears
Yeah.
click in place. It's like,
Bye.
bam, gone. Like, didn't even do a sorry. Just
Nope.
like, boop.
Nope. Like he waited, and he crapped out. And that was from those guys overstepping. They should have left him alone, right?
Well, they should have been doing a whole bunch of other things.
They should have left him alone. They shouldn't have been in the place they were at in the first place. All that, they shouldn't have tried to shake him down and all that. And then because of that overstepping, we saw another overstepping, which was when the whole thing was reported. And so it was a thing where you have, I guess, a person in charge, and you have a person that's underneath him. He's notifying him of the situation, letting them know to let it go.
Yeah.
These guys, they kind of do stuff. I kind of loved. It's so, real in a way. The logic of it, the kind of this. Don't overdo the story because those guys are kind of a hot mess. So we don't want to give them a parade, but give them enough to where at least they tried to do the right thing. Like he knew that they were bad apples already, and was not really,
It was bad. It was bad on bad on bad because we
Right.
got Lieutenant Cyril Karn, so
Yeah.
Lieutenant Karn, and
Lieutenant
he's
Karn.
the
Mhm.
he updated his own uniform, like
Right.
just to make it a little bit extra. Like,
I
this
thought
guy
that was
is.
I thought it was so great detail.
It's so funny because, like, honestly, from his perspective, he is a great character, and he is really actually trying to do good and trying
Yes.
to bring justice because, like, Andor fucking murdered those guys. Like,
Yes.
he did. He
Okay.
manslaughtered one and he murdered the other one. And he's like, these people need to be brought to justice. Now, there's also components of, like, they came after one of ours.
Yes.
So there's that too.
But it was but he did not consider what his commander told him, which
Yeah.
was about these guys having issues and stuff anyway. And it's almost kind of like sometimes if it's unjust or decisions being made by somebody, and they don't have any kind of like working math to how they got to that answer going, then yeah, that could stir you because it's almost kind of like because I said so. But
Right.
if somebody's laying out why and the situation, and even how, it's almost kind of like if those guys are maybe even clean or cleaner,
Right.
maybe it would have been an effort to make that square. But since it's almost kind of like we start picking at this thing, ain't no telling what's going to fall out and worse stuff is going to come to it.
Right? Because
So
his commander, aside from being like, yeah, they're not the best, which I'll come back to that in a second because the way he does it just like
I love
fucks with
it.
the lieutenant.
yeah.
But it's also like they're also in the illegal prostitution,
Right.
like they're in the brothel that's not supposed to be there,
Right.
that they also should not be able to afford.
And drinking. Yeah. Mhm.
So it's just
While
like,
they're working.
right? So it's just like the corruption angle is just like it goes deep, and the commander isn't surprised at all by
Right.
any of it. So it's like,
Right.
oh, this is standard fare.
Right.
Right. And I feel like the lieutenant is just so new and green. Like he just hasn't quite clocked all that yet.
Right.
But when he's like, oh, so and so, and the commander's like, oh yes, he's an old soldier served with him, blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, we gotta go and we gotta, he deserves justice. And he's like, yeah, he was kind of a dick. And it's just like this. It's just this funny like green light, red light.
Right.
Where he's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, we need to go and get justice. Like, yeah, he was a bit of a dick. And then like, yeah, but and it's like, yeah, but they picked like the commander like has figured the whole thing out. Yeah. They picked the wrong asshole to fuck with.
Yeah.
And they paid for it.
Right.
Which, like, yeah. Because if they were smart, they would have called him back up and done a whole bunch of other stuff. But if they were legit and blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. But, like, yeah, the amount of information they conveyed just through dialogue in that scene was just like, clap that up.
And that really tells you the mentality of the whole squad. So even when you see them now, you know what it means when you see those uniforms. You kind of know the vibe of it.
Yeah.
So it's nice shorthand. So
yeah,
when that little conversation covered a whole group.
And when the squad shows up for episode 3, it's like, okay, yeah, these guys are ready to fucking crackheads.
All you gotta do is see their faces and you know what's up.
Yeah. There's all these little smirks of just like, yeah, we're gonna go with fucking crackheads.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And so after the commander pretty much told him to stand down, he overstepped. And then what he do? He found somebody else to put a bigger battery in his back, and then that guy ended up overstepping as well. So it's this thing of overstepping, and it's propelling the story and the drama and the chaos and the craziness. It's just like,
and they all internally feel perfectly justified in their actions.
Yes, they do.
Perfectly justified in their actions.
Yes, they do.
Right. So that was Sergeant Kostek. The one that was like, let's go fucking like, there's fermenting, sir. There's fermenting out there.
Yes.
And if we let it ferment,
pockets of it.
And he's just so ready to step on people's necks. It's like, you don't step out of line. I have the power. I get to wield the power. I get to wield it over you. And if you don't like it, I'm going to crush you. He's just a fucking bully in a uniform. He doesn't care.
And I kind of loved what he said in a way, but it's like he's on the wrong side of things. But I could, you could just feel it. He's saying all the right things where it's almost the right. It's a good pass to do what you want, but is used in the wrong place in the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's saying it. That's
he's like, everything has to stay in order, and we're the ones that stay in order. And if we don't keep it in order, it gets out of hand, and then it's too late. And it's
saying the right thing, but when applied wrong,
ooh, and it's hard not to apply that wrong.
Yes.
It's like no one goes, well, why are they out of order? Could your order be, I don't know, dickish?
Yeah. So that was.
And I did like that scene where the sergeant's like talking to the squad. We're gonna go here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna crack heads. We're gonna get them in line. You're gonna go here. Squad 2 is gonna do this. Squad 3. Let's go, and let's hear a word from the lieutenant. And he's just like, oh, hello, justice is important.
Glad to be working with you all.
Awkward. Glad to be working with you all. It's an honor. Carry on, Sergeant. It was just like, yo, who you think you are and who you want to be do not line up yet.
And you know what? It's kind of funny because I think that so who was the guy? The guy that kind of backed him up, the one that was doing the great speech and everything. What's his name again?
Sergeant Kostek.
Okay, so the sergeant, right? When he saw how the dude, basically bombed with his
and he still clapped for him.
Right. They're like, it's almost like, I don't know if that sergeant would really respect a guy like him, but he knew he was access to be able to go knock some heads. And so if you're my key, I'll let you go because you're my pass to get away with all this stuff. But he probably thinks the same way those other guys are thinking, but he's like, hey guys, he's our key for the car, so we can go.
He's
so
the key to the car.
we're gonna
We're gonna joyride.
We gonna ride this whip right here.
There's truth to that, but also sort of the trope of the well-intended but sort of oblivious officer, and then the sergeant who actually gets shit done is a classic trope. And it's like, okay, pretty officer boy. Yeah. I'm the one that's got 20 years of experience doing this shit. So sure, you go point us in a direction and then I'll figure out all the fucking details.
But I thought it was cool how he didn't downplay him at all. Because usually it'd be that guy making an officer feel stupid. He never disrespected him. He kind of had his back, but it's almost because he knows he gets more out of him the other way. Yeah. And almost like, oh, everybody kind of, this is where we act like we appreciate what he says, but we're gonna still when we land there.
and the thing is, I honestly don't think the sergeant he obviously sees the shortcomings in the lieutenant. Like, okay, you're not ready for speeches yet. But he also, I don't think he dislikes the lieutenant. Like, they are so on the same page of like, yeah, we need to go crack heads. We need to, and it's maybe not crack heads, but we need to bring justice. Yeah. Yes, we're gonna bring justice and order. They're so much on the same page. He's like, I am not gonna give this guy shit.
Yeah, because like he had mentioned before, he's like, because he kind of mentioned how the other officers deal with it. Like, he was surprised. Like, normally they just kind of let this thing go, and they just, and they'll look at it and they'll just kind of wait for it to just kind of, because he almost was implying like they do the waiting game, like the whole thing where it never gets handled or taken care of. It's almost like they're doing kind of shady stuff. Up top knows not to pick at it, and so they let things slide. It's just kind of like, well, this is a casualty of playing dirty pool. And he's like, well, I'm one of the guys down here playing dirty pool, so we still need to act like we're all right. But you really should get that treatment when you're playing fair. But they're not playing fair. But he still wants to, he wants to be perceived this way, and so he wants the same benefits of it. Like, even the guy's crooked or not, and if he went down, he wants that parade. He would be mad that, hey, how come Jameson didn't get that parade? Because he was hanging out with hookers in a strip club. I don't care. He was one of us, and he deserves it. Regardless of whatever he does, he deserves that praise. He deserves that parade. He seems like he'd be one of them. So
it'll be very interesting how much we continue to follow those two characters.
Isn't that a lot we got from that little thing? Isn't that amazing how much we got for that?
Right?
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm almost worried because I'm looking at IMDb right now, and the lieutenant is only in 3 episodes.
Wow.
So, but the sergeant's in 11.
Wow. Well, he made an impression, boy. He made an impression. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. So it's funny because that kind of ties into. That was almost like the boiling pot of water that ends up boiling over at the end, but it has so many different things kind of lined up a certain kind of way. Like I said, it was very, very interesting, especially the first 2 episodes, the way they were pulled together, the introduction of characters, introduction of Bix, his friend, the girl in the garage,
Brasso, who was the guy working the shipyard,
right, and
his little bit of sabotage.
Yeah.
Like, you think he's just like, okay, he's just one of the friends. We get a little bit of like Andor trying to like get a cover story and stuff. And so it feels like a lot. He's like, okay, he's there to give us context on Andor. Mm-hmm. But then he also quietly sabotages their landing craft.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't make a big deal out of it. Doesn't tell anyone. Just decides on his own.
Right.
Right? So it's all these little things of, it's not just we are going to out and out rebel. There's all these gray sort of gradations of like non-compliance and sabotage and other things like that. So I loved how the show, like I said, laid stuff out. And like I said, I really like the build up, like I said, from the first 2 episodes. And I don't know, I like the flashbacks. I thought it was very interesting with that. Didn't require a back to tank. That look was worth it.
Man, if I don't see another tank, matter of fact, They used it so much in the Book of Boba Fett that when I saw it again in Rogue One, when they showed Vader in it, I was like, I was ready to fast forward.
Like, are we gonna get a flashback? I don't remember this.
I don't want to see a tank again. I don't care who's using it. It made that cool thing of like, oh, that's him in the tank. That's him in, without his costume. I didn't care. I didn't care it was Vader. I didn't care. I didn't want to see that tank again, man. I've seen that tank enough. Oh man, but
I need to go back and rewatch Rogue One. It is so
that movie has so much heart, man. It was just like,
right.
And so as amazing as that movie was, whatever was in that, they got that in this, and I am grateful for that, because, like I said, the whole vibe of it, Tony Gilroy, he, you could tell that he's in this. He's in this.
His name's on it all over it.
Yes. And it's almost like the person who brought you that is bringing you this, and it feels seamless. And it's supposed to be like, I guess, 5 years, before Rogue One takes place, and it just feels seamless. I've loved this. I love the vibe of it already. I love the suspense. I love how not only you get some more insight on the main character, you are also, like I said, getting this world built. You're getting to see how almost like the chessboard is being set up. So you're seeing where the pieces are going and how things tie in. And if they kind of do what they're doing for this side in this short amount of time, if they did all that, and then almost kind of like the rebellion in a way on the other side, it's almost kind of like everybody's kind of pushing from different parts. You kind of seeing where everybody's kind of coming from and why.
Right.
If they get of all the different fractions and things like that, this is going to be
I think there's
journey.
an interesting sort of corollary where there's certain stories where everything is really there to sort like everything that happens within the world, whether it's our world or some fantastical world, it's all there to serve sort of plot to move the characters along.
Right.
And then there's, I think it's called like societal storytelling, where like Game of Thrones is an example where you see all these different factions and it's these institutions, their feudal system that sort of inherently pits them against each other, and how that gets exploited, and how personal relationships play into it, but how much of it is like the illusion of power and where that resides and all that sort of stuff. Like taking it now in Star Wars in the sci-fi setting of understanding sort of how the corporate fist is oppressing these people, but above that is the hierarchy of the Empire.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see if we see a transition upwards from dealing with the oppressive corporate sector to the Imperial overlords above that. Or if it's just going to go, no, we're going to just go straight to the Empire and start going at them directly. Yeah. It would be interesting to see at what point the corporate sector fucks up enough that the Empire intercedes, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a relationship there with the Empire and the corporate sector where it's like, we're letting you operate because it benefits us in these ways. You're hitting these quotas, right? And not doing this disruptions or not being corrupt, even though we suspect you are. That would be interesting to see. But they might just go, now we're going to go and straight fuck with the Empire, because the Empire empowers the corporate sector to fuck us over, right? It'd be very interesting to see how that all plays out. Like, we just got the beginning of Luthen's speech. He literally says, like, I was expecting to have more time to sort of, bring you in, like, to lay this out, but you get the hint of just how much he fucking hates the Empire.
Yes.
Like, both of them in different ways and flavors, right? Talking about the arrogance of the Empire, right? If they think they got their shit together. Right.
I love that. And it's like, because they would never expect me to be there, because the sheer arrogance. They wouldn't expect me. All I got to do is, wear their suits and walk in there.
Walk in the front door like you're supposed to be there.
It's just like, wow. I thought that was just...
Because at that point, like, it's not super clear what Cassian, what Andor's sort of gig is. Like,
Right.
what is he really doing? Like, we know he's looking for his sister, but we don't know. You get this impression that he is doing this hustle and that side hustle and this
Yeah,
other
so
stuff.
much going on. Yeah.
But it's not like he's doing low level stuff. He's going and breaking into Imperial centers and stealing high end components and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's running way more than he's letting anyone else know.
Right.
And the thing is, I think the only one that really has a clue is Bix.
Yeah.
Like his friend,
Yeah.
she clearly knows that he is motivated and doing stuff, but he's doing what we could think of as sort of short term. Like, he's got his little goal, but it's like, dude, you're just nibbling at the edges. If I hook you up with Luthen, you're gonna go straight to the heart. Right.
It's like I said, these first 3 episodes was very interesting character study. It was interesting to see, him and his reputation and what people felt and thought about him. Other people,
right?
Like the mother figure who saved him, and when they found him on the ship when he was a kid, so I guess the guy in his relationship, the guy that works in the mines, what the authorities think of him. It was just neat to see like what Bix thinks of him. It's just
the guy on the street that he owed money to.
Yes. So I thought it was just like
it's like he's clearly a scoundrel. He's a scoundrel, but he's a really high end thief.
Right. I thought it was so funny when he tried to get
by.
Yeah, I thought it was funny when he tried to get the heavy on him, and he knew the guy. He's like, hey man, you working for him?
What are you doing? What are you working for him? Like, me? Come on, man. He's like, what? You just told me to stand there.
But it's like a nuance. Like, even the scoundrels love him too. I thought it was. I love it. I love it because I seen this kind of thing
charm.
And I seen this kind of thing done badly so many times that it was nice that I got the same thing everybody else is doing, but it's nuanced in a way where you don't even feel it. You don't even see it. You don't call it out if you're gonna do this to me, at least make me feel like it's new.
Right? And
dress it up a bit.
Here's the other thing that I appreciate about sort of his vibe is that he's a bit of a con artist. He's a scoundrel, right? He's charming people, but he's not the smug con artist.
Yeah.
Right? He's always slightly off kilter, right? He's not coming in glad handing, big old smile. Like, he constantly, the impression is that he's constantly stressed out. Like, he's constantly worried about it all falling apart. And he's just putting on a face, right, to all these different people, right? And it feels far more genuine than just the like, hi, I'm the con artist, smuggler, mischief maker. And it's just like, oh, I'm just barely bullshitting my way through all of this.
Yeah. But he has a purpose for it. And he's trying to make sure everybody's covered. Because I loved when he was trying to work the deal for the peace. And he thought that was just going to be it. He thought that was going to be part of it. He's going to make that money. And he's like, give this money to Bix. Make sure everybody gets paid. Everybody's taken care of. Like, he wasn't going to leave town. He told his like brother, like friend, like, hey, I'll make sure you get your money back. So it wasn't like he was trying to be shady and just leave out of town without making things right. Like he's like,
he cares about these people.
Yes, he cares about it. And I think they know it too. It's like, I'm tired of your mess. I'm tired of you sleeping on my couch and borrowing $1. But the reason why I keep letting you lay on my couch is because you're worth it. The reason why I keep loaning you money is because you pay it back and you try to do right by me.
Right. You're still my friend.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I think her name is Mara. That's the woman that finds him on Canary.
Okay, yeah.
And so I thought it was really great visual storytelling at the end of the 3rd episode, and he's finally getting off Ferrix, and they're countercutting that with the end of the flashback where she's finding him and deciding, we're taking you with, And so he's waking up on her ship, and you see that it's the ship that's sort of his hideaway. It's trashed in the junkyard. It's the same ship that they saved him on so long ago. It's like, oh, it's the same hidden compartment.
Yeah.
But we see with that flashback, he's waking up and they're taking off. And the sun's coming in through the front, and she's looking back at him, and the child him is looking forward, and it's cutting with him now on Luthen's ship, leaving, looking forward into the sun. So we can see that as he's leaving, he's thinking of what he's leaving behind. He's leaving Mara, this woman who has clearly taken care of him for most of his young life. So it's like,
and she's sitting there with a tear in her eye, and just like, she don't know if he's alive or dead or what, and it was just, that intercutting of that, they did that a couple times, and it was just kind of like, it kind of lets you know where you are on both stories, and it was just so nicely done. It wasn't jarring at all. It was just, you know,
and another great scene with Mara where the corporate cops have, you know, showed up. They shook her place down looking for Cassian.
I know where you're going.
and then basically there enough of the, I think it's the rebel cell. I think his friend Bix, and there's a couple other people that seem to be on the same page that clearly, if not a rebel cell, an anti-corporate cell, it might be like a workers union, whatever, but clearly at a certain point they're like, oh fuck, they're coming. And they start banging signals out, Morse code on pieces of metal, and it just spreads throughout the whole thing. And you've got those two guards that got left with Mara, and they're like, what the fuck is that? I hear sounds in the jungle. Like, they're freaking out, and they're like, what the fuck is that? She's like, that is a fucking reckoning coming.
He said, you better worry about when it stops.
It's like you better worry when it stops. And it was just like, oh, when it goes quiet. Because then everyone's ready. Oh man. And the thing is, the town for the most part didn't rise up for the most part, which that would have been fucking dope. I know at some point there's a shot in one of the trailers where I think it's not the corporate people, but it's the Imperials. It's the Imperial Army, and they're in riot gear. So that's coming at some point too. But the whole thing from when Luthen shows up, Luthen, loving him. Because so far, Cassian's a thief. That's cool. But Luthen is the fucking spy. And he's going to turn Cassian into a spy. And Cassian, when he goes into that warehouse, right? And he walks in, they start talking, and da-da-da-da-da. And eventually, the cops show up, and they're banging on the door. And he's like, no, I'm going to blow the doors. I put Simtax on it. And he's like, what? He's like, you never walk in a place without making sure you have an exit. And it was just like, yes. And which is why, even before the cops show up, he's sort of talking with Andor, and they're walking around a little bit in that little warehouse. And he's like, where does that lead? He's like, what's that? Where does that go? Like, before there's any possible threat, he's thinking, is that another escape route? Is that another way out? So he's cagey as fuck without like broadcasting it. I'm just like, the tricks those two play. Oh, okay. So I love at a certain point where the lieutenant and the sergeant is like, oh, they're coming our way. We need to set up an ambush, right? Go and get the high ground. You go get over there. You go get over there. We're going to ambush and pull in the support. And so the lieutenant goes over into one of the buildings, forces the door open, and then sets it up, and he's watching out through the door. And I'm just like, oh, the camera gave it away. Camera gave it away because it's a classic thing in cinematography where normally if the person's looking to the left of the screen, then you place them on the right so you can see towards where they're looking. But in horror movies, if they're looking to the left, you place them on the left side of the frame so that the behind them takes up more empty space. So he was a little bit in the center, and it was dark behind him. Like, they've already established the back of this place is open.
Yep.
They're gonna show up right behind them. Like then the pistol showed up right behind
Yep.
his head. I was like, there it is. There it is. They fucking got you.
So on that, did you think he was gonna die?
I wasn't sure.
Okay.
I honestly wasn't sure. Like I was a little bit surprised. I figured if he was going to die, we would see him die.
Yeah.
And so they just sort of cut away.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the moment, I wasn't like, ooh, are they going to kill him or not? It was just like, all right, so he's neutralized. So he's either dead or he's tied up, and they tied him up.
Yeah.
And they did another clever thing. They did a fucking misdirect. Like all these little things of like, we're not just going to have a blaster fight. It's like, no, hey, you got more of those explosives? I'm like, yes, decoy, here we go.
Yeah.
So they set up the decoy and just run it down the street, and it crashes, and then they blow it up, and then they take off. It's like, yes.
But those guys, they looked happy for a minute. It's like, we got him.
We got him. Boom!
Didn't get him, and you see him come out the back on the motorcycle. The look on that dude's face, like he know he done messed up.
Oh, the lieutenant is fucked.
He was so, he was just stuck.
His brain was rebooting because he couldn't comprehend how bad this went. Like, I think there's a level of like, there's a couple things that's probably like competing in his brain, screaming at him. And one is, of course, oh, this went to shit. I got people killed. That's bad.
Lost
also,
more
it's probably
than when you
horrible. It's probably horrible for my career. But also, I think the other thing is like, this is not how this is supposed to go. This is not how my narrative goes. I'm supposed to catch the bad guy. They are not supposed to fuck us so thoroughly.
Right.
Like this went sideways. Like they lost a drop ship. Like, oh my God. Yeah, he did not have a good day.
No, he didn't. He didn't. You can just see it all over his face. The acting in this show
did a great job.
Crazy. It's so crazy. Like you just feel for everybody, but it's just yeah, man. This show. It's all I ever wanted.
Right? And it's gonna get more spy-y as it goes.
And that's all you wanted. You want your spy. You want your spy. Your Star Wars spy.
To Luthen doing the like tracking his exits, them doing the decoy. It's like, oh, a smart character.
And yeah, because he's like, make your exit on your way in.
Both of them. It's both of them.
Yes,
because he's looking
styles.
for his exit.
Yes.
But Cassian's like, wait, you got more of those explosives?
Yeah.
Decoy.
Yeah,
boom.
yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, they tag teaming it. I love how they working off each other. And they have different skill sets and stuff. And he's almost like, hey, what you do is kind of rough. And he's kind of like, oh, let me. So like I said, they learning from each other and helping each other out, which I think is amazing. And I like their banter
save
back
each
and
other.
forth. Yes, they do.
They save each other in the warehouse.
Yeah, so
because there's the bit right
the relationship,
right? Because Andor goes for the box. He's like, I don't care about the box. But Andor, that's his thing.
Yeah.
So Luthen like comes around the corner and takes out the guard going for him, and then he keeps Luthen from getting crushed. Like it's a whole back and forth. And
that's the confirmation that was needed, because before their relationship was based off of a mutual friendship. Because when he was like, "How I know you're not just going to try to, how I know that it works,
right?
How you know this, how you know that?" And he was like, "Well, you dealt with Bix and you trust her, right? So that should vouch for me." But it didn't. It didn't vouch for him, but his actions confirmed it was okay. It confirmed who he was dealing with.
Right.
He earned his own place with him.
Luthen doubled down on his investment.
Yes.
Like, no, I'm not going to let you get shot. Damn it, I will put myself out there instead of just focusing on my exit and getting out of here. It's like, I'm going to get us out of here.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to have a show that's going to match our time and effort.
Right. And the other thing that so far I'm also very happy with here's the dork component.
Go for it.
Is they haven't introduced any stupid world-breaking tech. Like there's no bounty hunting key fob that like can track a person down anywhere on the planet. There's no like, oh, I have a key fob that can call in through hyperspace rebel support. What? What the fuck? It's like please just keep that going. That'll be fine. That'll be great.
Craziness, man.
On
Craziness.
top of, the great acting, the production, the world building, the dialogue. Like, yeah, it's all there. Like,
It is.
if let's just assume the rest of it just keeps on pace with this level of quality.
Right.
Like, I'd be like, dude, just do this. Don't do movies.
Yeah.
You don't have to do movies.
Right.
Just do this. Like,
Right.
this works. Keep those Disney Plus subscriptions going.
Yeah, man. I think they got a winner, and I think that people are going to appreciate it on different levels. I think it's not intimidating because it's like, you may not know all the lore about something, but this, you can come in on the ground floor. We're all learning together.
It feels very accessible.
It
feels very accessible.
It is.
I mean, the funny thing,
but it's still smart too, though. That's the thing about it. It's not treating you like a dummy. So I love how it has stakes. It has stakes. That's why with Rogue One, that's what made it special. It has stakes. Like, people could die. You didn't know who was going to die. It's crazy. On Rogue One, the damn robot died, and it's just kind of like, oh, he's not even alive,
and he's a bit of an asshole.
Right. So, like I said, that the person who made this, and I can see it already. I saw it in the first episode.
The amazing thing with, like, so one of the characters that dies is Bix's boy toy, who calls in and snitches out.
Snitches get stitches.
he got one big one right in the chest, but even that was just like, he realized he fucked up, but then when he realized she was getting pulled in by the cops, and he wouldn't let it go, and he just took one straight to the chest and dropped. And that was rough. That was rough because Bix has to watch it like, oh man.
Yeah. They tied together a lot of stuff. Like I said, this is just the beginning. I'm thoroughly impressed to the point where it threw me off. And this has very high rewatchability for me, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Just looking at the backgrounds and stuff like that. Like I said, a show that's going to take out the time with all this other stuff it's doing to show the guy who rings the bell in the tower. Like I said, and it doesn't take away from anything, but just gives you a nuance of somebody else that happens to be there doing what they do. It's incredible. I don't feel like it suffered for anything, any side thing, because sometimes, you need to just stick to the main character. Don't be too fancy, whatever. It's covered so much, so many characters. You get how the technology is, you get how the society is, you get the, how things move. He's smart. He's borrowing vehicles to do certain jobs and stuff.
Yeah, that whole thing.
All that stuff. He knew to switch the car out. So if they even did find the vehicle,
Right. He switched out the transponder.
Yes.
It's like switching out the license plate. I was like, yo. Has someone been playing in my Star Wars campaign?
So just thinking like that is just crazy. Or he had that transponder and the guy was like, give it here, and he stomped it out. It's like, rule number 1, don't have anything where you have no control of.
Right? Is comlink? He's like, if you don't own that tech, don't use it.
Yeah.
Right?
That works for us today.
Right?
That's advice for us today.
It was so good.
Yeah, man. Craziness. Matter of fact, I don't even think I said what show we're talking about. So we're talking about Andor. I never mentioned the title of the show. We just kind of went in, but it was that good.
We're too excited.
That's right. We'll get it next time. All right, man. So do you have any final words, final thoughts, or any kind of, you want to do predictions or no?
I don't even know. Like, the only predictions I can go off is just stuff that's in the trailer. I'm wondering, we're going to see, I'm certain we're going to see Coruscant. So we're going to go back to Coruscant. That's the galactic capital.
Okay.
Right? But we're probably going to see a little bit more of Alderaan, I'm guessing, because we're going to get Mon Mothma. And she is sort of the face of the Rebel Alliance. Like, as much as we think it's Princess Leia, it's really Mon Mothma. She was the head of the Rebel Alliance. Okay. And we are going to get to see her. So we're going to get to see that, and I'm sure I think there's scenes with her and Luthen, right? Because it seems like he's her operator, or one of her operators, one of her spies. So it'll be interesting to see that level how she tries to sort of swim through imperial politics without being crushed.
Okay.
Right? Because she dissents. Like, there's a little clip in one of the trailers where it's like, they have to take me as a joke because otherwise they'll destroy us. Like, I can't openly like do too much. Like, they have to think I'm faltering and like failing to do anything because I'm just not able to do anything in the Senate, but I'm fostering a rebellion behind me.
Right.
That'll be really fascinating to see.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to it because, like, if these episodes are any indication, they're gonna do her character so well. Like, she's gonna be nuanced, conflicted, like complicated. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay. I don't know really what to expect. A lot of this stuff is kind of like I've seen, you know, like a little trailer thing that kind of shows what's going to be happening. It's kind of, a lot of it's new for me. I'm just think it's cool to be witnessing like the creation and the journey of a revolutionary, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially with the flashbacks and currently, and just how he got to the point, which ultimately leads to his sacrifice for the cause, which is just very interesting. I remember when they announced, you know, this show, and I was thinking, like, out of all the characters, it would be, why him? But you know what? He had enough going on that was just kind of different to make him a fun angle to come at this. I'm glad they chose it. I wasn't expecting it to be this good, to look this good, to be this smart,
Right.
to have the stakes, and it still could be considered like a family show in a way. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's a fine line. It got that heaviness without being insulting. You know,
that was the interesting thing too, because I was surprised with the brothel. Like, as an adult, you're like, okay, this is a brothel, right?
Right.
But it also wasn't salacious.
No, it wasn't.
Right? You get what's going on. You don't need to see a ton of skin to understand what's going on there.
Yeah, I saw more ass on of Thor, Love and Thunder. I had to do it.
A godly amount of ass. But like, the other thing is, even when Bix goes to her boyfriend, let's call him the boyfriend, right? That could have played very differently, right? Like, just showing more skin, of making it more clear, of like, ooh, they're gonna hook up, and it's like, no.
The fact that the way she took off her jacket was enough. It's kind of like, huh.
Right?
And then she just goes to sit on the side of the bed.
She still totally has her shirt, everything on, and it's nothing explicit.
Right. She gives him a kiss, and then they just show, I love the framing, and you just see the bed at an angle, and you see her sitting on the side of the bed. And that's it. And it cuts to the next. I'm like, yes.
It was done really well for what could otherwise be like, you know, you could have done the sex sells component, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't need to. That wasn't in a lot of cases. It's not the point of the scene. They do it anyway, but they don't need to in this one.
Right.
At all.
Right. It wasn't like, you know.
And flick. Oh, you flicked too hard, damn it!
Was none of that.
Oh, Taiki.
Okay. Oh, now I'm being kind of mean, so it's time for me to stop. Okay. I'm trying. Gotta keep up appearances.
Right.
I'm getting too comfortable. Okay. Well, right on, man. Well, we covered episode 1, 2, and 3.
It looks like there's gonna be quite a few episodes in this season.
I'm thinking 12. I could be wrong, but I thought it was gonna be 12.
It sounds about right, because like Skarsgård Luthen is like 11 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Diego, you know, the lead, Cassian, has like 24 episodes listed, but that's 2022 through 2023.
Okay, so that'd be two seasons, 12 and 12. Hopefully.
And that's the other interesting thing too, is so the second season, there's going to be more time jumps.
Okay.
right? So it's covering 5 years in total.
Yeah.
I don't know if season 2 is covering all of the 5-year jump,
Yeah.
but it sounds like they're going to do more time jumps where they're not going to necessarily do 5 seasons of it where it's 1 year to go. They're going to like, okay, we're going to jump forward and now this, and jump forward and now this. So that'll be interesting to see how that sort of approach works.
This is such a beautiful start to a lead up to a great movie. Like I said, I just rewatched Rogue One again before I started this, and this is not something I was necessarily looking forward to. You know, it has the makings to be a classic, you know, and it doesn't make any sense that this is already more than what we gotten with the characters that we wanted to see this with. It's just very interesting, but I'll take it where I can get it.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, brother, it was great chatting with you. Great seeing you again and getting on these shows and stuff. You haven't missed a beat. You haven't missed a beat. So it's just good to be back. And I'm looking forward to our next one.
Oh, absolutely. I will be ready here with my goofball humor.
Right on. Right on. All right. So that's been Jay and Ryan. Until next time, peace.
Out.
You still using that, huh?
It works. It's better than the across the universe.
You did try that. Oh, you did try that. Hey, we're going to stop this conversation here, but we're going to hit you back with another one soon.